Have you ever wondered why, given the same seed and the same soil, one tree rises tall and strong while another grows stunted and frail? The world out there is like a vast mirror, but a mirror cannot reflect what does not yet exist. A solemn face cannot be reflected as a smile if the smile was never there. The outside is only a chain reaction of the inside. People run tirelessly to change the world around them, as if by moving mountains or redirecting rivers, they could alter their destiny. Yet sages from both East and West have whispered the opposite truth. To govern a nation, first cultivate the self. To cultivate the self, first set the heart right. In ancient China, wise rulers knew that leading a country did not begin with harsh laws or grand monuments, but with illuminating their own hearts and minds. In the West, Stoic philosophers advised that you cannot control the wind. You can only adjust your sails, and those sails are the mind itself. When the inside is in turmoil, every plan and effort on the outside rocks like a rudderless ship. Conversely, a still mind can navigate through storms without fear of breaking apart. Yet here lies the paradox where many are trapped. They try to fix other people, shape circumstances, change the rules of the game, before learning to reach into the deepest layers of themselves. They paint over a rotting wall and are surprised when it collapses anyway. You, listening now, have you ever noticed that every conflict, every fear, every hidden desire begins with how you interpret the world in your mind? That inner world is the invisible filter for all experience. One person walks through winter and sees only cold and ice. Another sees snow falling and calls it the white blossoms of the sky. The difference is not in the snow, but in the eyes that behold it. When your inner world is clouded by anger, suspicion, or shame, every signal from the outside will be tinted the same color. You will see betrayal in a stranger's glance, threat in silence, failure in challenge. But when your inner state is openness and peace, the outside, even unchanged, becomes decoded as opportunity, lesson, unexpected beauty. The sages never said, ignore the world. They said, repair the inside so the outside can change naturally. Like a skilled gardener tending the soil instead of tugging at the plant to make it grow faster. A tree matures because its roots are strong, not because it was pulled upward. Likewise, your life grows from what you nourish in silence, beliefs, values, resilience. When roots run deep, branches and leaves will find the sunlight. And then you will realize that all efforts to mold yourself to society's standards are meaningless if they do not reflect your core values. A person may wear the robe of power and speak eloquent words, but if the heart is hollow, they will feel emptiness even in the midst of applause. Conversely, a simple person living true to their principles carries an energy the world cannot ignore. The challenge is that to repair the inside, you must dare to look into an undistorted mirror. This means facing the parts you avoid: selfishness, fear, wounds unhealed. It is grueling work because it demands you abandon the game of blame and step into full responsibility for your life. When you accept the darkness within, you also open the door for light. And that light does not come from outside. It ignites from recognizing you are not confined by old definitions. You begin to see that happiness is not something to be hunted down, but the natural outcome of living in alignment with your values and maintaining inner balance. Just as a still lake reflects the sky most clearly, a peaceful mind reflects the most beautiful world. When you grasp this, every effort to change circumstances ceases to be a desperate battle. They become a natural extension of what is already steady within. Instead of seeking validation from others' eyes, you act from a source of inner strength. And, miraculously, the outer world, like a mirror, reflects back to you an entirely new image. When change begins from within, it is not loud or flashy, but persistent, like underground streams carving their way through stone. Outsiders may not notice immediately, but little by little, the way you respond to the world shifts. An insult no longer ignites rage. A failure no longer crushes you in despair. You start seeing every upheaval as ripples on the lake's surface. The deep waters below remain calm. Ancient Indian philosophers called this state sthita prajna, steady wisdom. They said a person who attains it is not devoid of emotions, but is no longer ruled by them. It is the result of knowing your worth. When you know who you are, what matters, and what is merely noise, you stop chasing illusions outside yourself. Notice how all great civilizations left similar instructions. Whoever wants to change fate must change their mind. The Greeks engraved on Apollo's temple at Delphi, "Know thyself, not know others, not change the world, but know thyself." Knowing yourself is the first step to living by your values. And living by your values is the foundation for accepting life, even when it refuses to follow your plans. Once the inside is ordered, you truly understand acceptance. Acceptance does not mean abandoning effort, but letting go of the illusion that everything must bend to your will. Acceptance is understanding that storms are as necessary as sunshine, and both feed the garden of your life. This brings a strange kind of freedom. You no longer need to fight every gust of wind or chase away every cloud. You learn to adjust your sails instead of trying to banish the storm. Inner balance starts to emerge. You are no longer dragged along by the current of events, but stand firm within it, like a stone in the stream. You observe, you respond, but you do not lose your axis. This balance is the result of countless small choices each day, choosing silence over an angry retort, stepping back to see the bigger picture, being honest with yourself even when the truth is uncomfortable. And once you find balance, another miracle occurs. You begin contributing to the world effortlessly. You no longer do good to earn praise, nor help to gain gratitude. You contribute because it is the natural overflow of a full heart. In the East, Buddhism calls this metta, unconditional loving kindness. In the West, humanistic philosophy calls it self-actualization, realizing one's full potential and offering the surplus to life. Such people have an indescribable magnetism. They need not persuade others to listen. Their very presence is proof of what they believe. They need not speak much about happiness, for it radiates from their eyes, from the way they listen, from the stillness in their gestures. And in that moment, the outer world begins to change, not because they forced it, but because they became a mirror others long to see themselves in. But this path is not for the impatient. It requires patience with oneself, like a farmer with the seasons. You plant seeds today not to harvest tomorrow, but so that one day, when the time is right, the tree will bloom. And in that waiting, you continue tending the soil, that is, tending your mind and heart. Until one morning you realize you have changed. The world around you feels softer, but in truth, you have become gentler with it. You no longer seek agreement to feel worthy because you have found that worth in the deepest part of yourself. When inner worth stands as solid as a mountain, praise and criticism alike are light as passing breezes. You no longer sway under others' eyes, nor are you pulled into the whirlpool of comparison and competition. Instead, you live with a serene freedom, not because the world is perfect, but because you no longer need it to be perfect to feel whole. In ancient times, Taoist masters spoke of Wu Wei, action without force, living in harmony with the way. This is not resignation, but action from a source aligned with a greater flow. In the West, Stoic philosophy taught that true freedom comes when we distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. Once you have aligned your inner world, you naturally act only on what truly matters. This also changes the way you connect with people. You no longer seek relationships to fill a void inside. Instead, you choose connections that resonate, where both grow together. You give not to get, but because you have much to share. Such bonds are deep because they are built not on dependence, but on freedom. And one day, you realize you no longer feel compelled to prove anything. You do not argue to win, nor boast to be seen. You know with clarity your worth is not defined by rankings, numbers, or applause. It is defined by the consistency between what you believe, what you think, and what you do. Living at that intersection brings an extraordinary sense of liberation. Every pressure becomes an opportunity to refine yourself. Every loss, a reminder of what truly matters. You no longer run from pain. You face it, learn from it, and let it expand your heart. Every experience, sweet or bitter, becomes part of your growth. In that growth, there is rebirth. You are no longer driven by fear or the craving for approval. Instead, you become the architect of your life, guided by principles no outside force can shake. You stand in the storm without trembling, because you know storms only sweep away what is not anchored. And when the storm passes, you are not just intact. You are deeper, stronger, and more at peace. This is the moment you fully understand the truth. Repair the inside, and the outside will change. For the world you now see is no longer an adversary to conquer, but a companion reflecting the true state of your soul.